Hello guys! So I hope you succeeded in doing the quiz simulation. I wrote the questions over here. Here is my C function, and now I'm gonna start the correction. I know I tricked you because I put G. I did it on purpose to see if you could find it on your own, okay? My calculator is ready, and let's start. So, first question. From time to time, I'm gonna go look for my calculator and come back. So my first question is, determine the GDP at E, where E is equal to 200, using the saving and investment approach. Okay, do you remember the saving and investment approach? To find the equilibrium, it's where you have S is equal to I. So first you need to determine your S. So question 1, okay, S is equal to GDP minus C. Remember that? So S is equal to GDP minus, I open the parenthesis, 7/8 GDP plus 1,000. So S is equal to GDP, I hope you see everything, minus 7/8 GDP minus 1,000. So S is equal to, here GDP minus 7/8 GDP is going to give you the complement, which is 1/8 GDP minus 1,000. So that's your saving function, okay? So now you know that at equilibrium, saving is equal to investment. We know that at equilibrium, S is equal to I. And here I have IE is equal to 200. So I that I'm looking for this equilibrium is equal to 200. So we're going to do it very easily. So S is equal to IE. So 1/8 GDP minus 1,000 is equal to 200. And that would be at equilibrium. Okay? Now, 1/8 GDP at equilibrium is equal to, I'm just going to put this one here, so 1,200. Okay? So GDP at equilibrium is equal to 1,200 times 8, which is equal GDP at E, I think 2,600 times 8. No, 9,600, yeah. 9,600. And that would be the right answer. Okay? So I'm going to write my answer in here in red. So GDP at E is 9,600. I'm doing this because I'm going to need my GDPs over here to calculate the rest. If you have a problem, please call me or send me a WhatsApp message, pause the video, and then ask me whatever question you want, and I'll answer and then go back to the video, okay? So, moving on. Now I have to erase. Okay. Here it is. I have to erase because I don't have space as usual. And I'm going to do the second question. Oh, let me just check if everything is recording the right way. No problems. Yeah, I'm recording. Okay, question number 2. Question 2. They're asking me for GDP at E prime, where the investment is 100 and the government is 200. Government purchases, of course. And they're asking me to use the C plus I approach. Okay, plus I approach, it's when the equilibrium GDP, so GDP, that's what we know, GDP at E prime should be equal to C plus I. Is it only C plus I, or should I add the government? Remember, GDP is equal to C plus I plus G plus X. We have a closed economy, so we don't have any net exports, so I have to add G, and that's where I tricked you. The name of the approach is C plus I approach. It doesn't mean that we stop at I. We have to add the government, okay? And now it's super easy. So GDP at E prime is equal to C. Here is my C, 7/8. GDP at E, this happens only at equilibrium, at E prime, I'm sorry, plus I plus IE prime plus GE prime. Let's do it. So GDP at E prime is equal to 7/8 GDP at E prime plus, what is I? I'm so sorry, I forgot the 1,000, plus 1,000 plus IE prime plus GE prime, okay? So plus 1,000 to finish my consumption function, plus IE prime 100 plus GE prime is 200. Okay? So let's look at GDP at E prime. So GDP at E prime is equal to 7/8 GDP at E prime plus 1,300. Okay? Now I'm going to move this one over here. So GDP at E prime minus 7/8 GDP at E prime should be equal to 1,300. So here it's the complement, which is 1/8 GDP. Complement? I don't know. I don't care. GDP at E prime is equal to 1,300. I hope you're following. So GDP at E prime is equal to 1,300 times 8. GDP at E prime is equal to 1,300 times 8. Ouch! It's gonna be 10,400. Let me check. So 1,300 times 8, 10,400. Okay? 10,400. And that would be your answer. Okay? I'm gonna go write it over there because I'm gonna need it later on. So here, 10,400. Take a screenshot because I'm gonna erase this in order to continue with the exercise. Can I erase now? I hope so. If I make mistakes, please correct me, okay? I'm moving. That's it. Okay. They told me that from now on, I have to use the multiplier. So first thing I'm going to do is calculate the multiplier. So multiplier is equal to 1/1 minus MPC. Okay? Which is equal to 1/1 minus, what's MPC? It's the slope of the consumption function, which is 7/8, which is equal to 1/1/8, which is equal to 8. And that is my multiplier. So I'm going to write my multiplier over here so that I use it when I need it, because I need the space, so I need to erase this. Or, yeah, I think I need to erase it. So my multiplier is equal to 8. and I'm moving on. You know how I did it? Now I can use it and move to the other question. Okay. Now to use the multiplier, we need a departure point and we're looking for the arrival point, okay? So question 3, I would advise you to always do it this way. I'm looking for GDP at E1 from E, okay? So the first thing I do is write the data of E, the departure point. So GDP at E was equal to 9,600, okay? I at E, where is E? E is here. I at E was equal to 200. So that's the old GDP, 200. G at E wasn't given, which means it was equal to 0. Okay? Now I write the new GDP here. So GDP at E1, that's what I'm looking for. But I need to write my data. So IE1 is equal to 500 and GE1 is equal to 600. Okay? So this is the new GDP, the one you're looking for. So it's always, you look for new minus old, which is the change. So I'm going to look for delta GDP, delta I, delta G. So to find delta GDP, I need delta I and delta G. Okay? So first thing I'm going to do, first step, delta I is equal to IE1, the new one, minus IE. What am I doing? IE1 minus IE, which is equal to 500 minus 200, which is equal to 300. Okay? Easy? Now, I'm going to look for, I need to put it in using a color. So that is my delta I, just to remember it. And now I'm going to look for my delta GDP due to I, okay? What's the change in GDP that is caused by this increase of 300? So delta GDP due to investment is equal to delta I times the multiplier. Okay? Which is equal 300 times 8, which is equal to 2,400. Check with the calculator. Okay, ouch. Come on, phone of mine. 300 times 8, just to avoid mistakes. Here you cannot have mistakes. If you have one mistake, the whole exercise is incorrect. So 2,000, I just said 400 and I was going to write 800. 400, that would be your delta GDP due to investment. Okay? So I'm going to put it in green so that you know it's due to investment. Now I'm going to look for the change in GDP due to the government. Let's do it. So delta GDP due to the government, where is the pen? It's in here. That was little 1. I'm going to put little 2. The first thing I need to do to calculate delta GDP is to find delta G in this case. So delta G in the government is equal to the new minus the old. So delta G is equal to GE1 minus GE, which is equal to 600 minus 0, which is equal to 600. And this one, I'm going to use the black in order to show you that it's delta G. We're talking about G. Here it was everything in green. I don't need this one anymore. That's delta GDP. Okay, so I found delta G. I need to find delta GDP due to the government. So delta GDP due to the government, it's the same thing. The expenditure multiplier, remember, it works for investment and government purchases. So is equal to delta G times the multiplier, the expenditure multiplier. So it's equal to 600 times 8. So delta GDP due to G is equal to my calculator. 600, oh come on, 600 by 8 is equal to 4,800. 4,800, and this is your results for the delta GDP due to G. Easy? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is find the new GDP. So GDP at E1, the new GDP, is equal to the old GDP, the departure points, GDP E, plus the change due to the investments, plus delta GDP due to I, so the jump that was given due to the investments, plus the change that was caused by the government, delta GDP G. Okay? You added something due to investment and you added something else due to government. Where did you land? That's what we're looking for. So, GDP E1 is equal to 9,600, the old GDP, 9,600, plus 2,400, plus 4,800, so GDP E prime, I hope you see GDP E prime, E1, I'm sorry, is equal to, let me check if you can see the last line. Yes, you can. So GDP is equal to, let me just calculate. So 9,600 plus 2,400 plus 4,800 is equal to 16,800. That's your new GDP. 16,800. 16,800. And I need to write it over there because I'm going to need it again. Okay? So 16,800. Okay, guys? So now, what I want to do is to calculate it again, but from another departure point. Okay? Let's see. I need to delete in order to be able to work. So take a screenshot and let's continue. Now little b. They're asking me to calculate it from E prime. Okay, so I need my departure point to be E prime and not E. Now, I could have kept that one. So E prime, I need the data for E prime. Let's see, GDP at E prime was 10,400. I'm just taking my data, okay? 10,400, okay? IE prime was 100. GE prime was 200. Oops, 200. For the data for E1, it's the arrival point. So I want to arrive to E1, so it doesn't change. Now what's going to change is your deltas and your delta GDPs, which is the same thing. So here I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to delete this. So I'm going to rewrite this one, and I'm going to rewrite this side here. Okay, so I know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to try to take less space. So delta I, again, delta I, now it's IE prime, IE1, I'm sorry, that's 1 and that's prime. So IE1 minus IE prime. Okay, just to make the difference between the two, which is equal to 500 minus 100, which is equal to 400. Okay, so that's your delta I. Now I'm going to look for delta GDP due to I. GDP due to I is equal to delta I times the multiplier, which is equal to 400 times 8, which is equal to 3,200. Calculator. 400 times 8, 3,200. And that would be your delta GDP due to I. Okay? Yeah, I'm trying to use less space. Let me move to delta G. So delta G is equal to GE1 minus GE prime, which is equal to 600, that's a 200. 600 minus 200, is the new minus the old, which is equal to, 400 again. Okay. So that's your delta G. And now I'm going to look for delta GDP due to G. Delta GDP due to G is equal to delta G times the multiplier, which is equal to 400 times 8, which is equal to 3,200. Okay? Here we go. Now I need to calculate my new equilibrium from the departure of E prime. So GDP at E1, I'm going to write smaller so that I have enough space. GDP at E1 is equal to GDP at E prime plus the change that is due to change in GDP that is due to investment plus whatever change in GDP that is due to the government. And let's calculate. That's going to give me 10,400, which is this one, plus 3,200, plus, here again, 3,200, which is equal to, that would be 6,400. I'm going to use my calculator, plus, oops, 3,200 plus 3,200 plus 10,400. 10,400. 16,800. So I have no mistake as it's the same number. GDP at E1. So the trick is, whether you start from E or E prime or whatever other point, you have to land in the one you're looking for to explain it, okay? Here is a point, here is another point, and here is another point. Let's imagine this is the GDP you're looking for, okay? This number here. If you start from this point, you need to add this distance, this delta GDP, to get to this point, isn't it? That's what I'm doing if I start from here. But if I start from here, I need to add the whole distance here to arrive to the arrival point I want. So here what we're doing is moving from one GDP to the next to find from one equilibrium to the next. So if you start here, this is your delta. Do you see it? Delta I and delta G. If you start from here, this is your delta. It's smaller and it's going to get you a smaller thingy. Same thing if you're looking for this GDP. Imagine I'm looking for the one in the middle. So I'm going to decrease this delta and I'm going to come from here to here. If I start from here, I'm going to add this delta and go this way. Okay? So whatever your departure point, if you calculate the right deltas, the right changes, you're going to end up in the point you want. If you're not careful with it, you use the departure GDP from here, but then you add only this delta, it's not going to give you the right answer. Okay? I hope this was a bit clear. Now I need to erase to find this one. You don't need it. Now I'm going to move to the other question, which is question 4. So take screenshots and I'll move it on. So it's the same GDP. I'm not going to write it twice. Okay? Let's move. So question 4, what am I looking for? I'm going to delete only the things I need to delete and keep the rest written. Okay, in this one I only delete the numbers. In this one I delete the indexes. Sorry. The indexes. The numbers. My board is crying. I'm tired of working. Please. Oh. Oh, okay. This is exactly the noise my little guinea pig makes. Okay, let's start. I had some fun here. G. Oops, I forgot the thingy over here. It's still... Yeah, that's funny. Okay, here I can rewrite it. Come on, Amy, don't be so lazy. So, question, we're in A now. In question 4. Okay, let's start, guys. I'm sorry, I took some time to erase. It was funny. What am I looking for? GDP at E2. That's the new one. What are my data? So IE2 is equal to 1000 and GE2 is equal to 300. Okay? Question 1, it's from E prime. Okay, from E prime. What do I have as data in E prime? Oh, I should have kept them, it's the same point, so 10,400. IE prime is 100. I'm sorry for my handwriting, but it's not easy. Here it is, 100. And GE prime is equal to 200. Okay, let's start. So here it's going to be IE2, delta I is equal to IE2 minus IE prime. So delta I is equal to 1000 minus, here it's 100, okay, minus 100, which is equal to 900. Okay, so delta I times the multiplier would be your change in GDP due to investment, delta GDPI. So it's 900 times 8. It would be 9 times 8. 900 times 8, 7,200. That would be your change in GDP due to I. Now I need to calculate the change in government, which is GE2 minus GE prime, which is equal to 300 minus 200, which is equal to 100. Agreed? Now, delta GDP due to government would be 100 times 8, which is 800. Okay? Now, the new GDP, GDPE2 is equal to GDPE prime plus delta GDPE I plus delta GDPG. So GDPE prime is 10,400 plus 7,200 plus 800. So let's see the new GDP. That would be 8,000. Well, 18,400. Use the calculator, Amy. Plus 72 plus 8. Yeah, 18,400. And that would be your new GDP. If I made a mistake, here I am, punishing myself. Let me write it over here. 18,000, where am I here? 18,400. Now let's do it from E1. Let me check the length of the video. Ooh, it's kind of long. We're gonna have a problem uploading. Okay. From E1, what's E1? So I'm not gonna do it from E1. You already know. I'm gonna move directly to E3. Let me see E3. I'm going to something more difficult, okay? E3 from E prime. E3 from E prime. No, I'm not gonna do this one. Oh no, I need one of them. I know that I made one of them. From E2. Okay, that's the one that I wanted. I know that I put one that was more difficult than the others. It's from E2. From E2. Can I do this question, please, guys? Because I don't have much time, because the video is going to take at least 10 hours to upload. So I have to go quickly. I'm going to shut up and work now. Okay, from E2, then I'm going to do the BEP and we're done. From E2, do I have E2? Yes. Good. Okay, guys, I'm not going to waste time now. I'm going to work quickly. If you could bear with me, I'm going to go quickly. So, first thing, GDP at E2 is equal to, GDP at E2 is equal to 18,000 400. I, E2 is equal to how much? 1000. And GE2 is equal to, GE2 is equal to 300. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, now I'm looking for GDP E3. This is question 5. Little b. I'm looking for GDP E3. So I need to give my data. IE3 is equal to how much? 400. And GE3, I'm sorry, this is indexed. GE3 is equal to 400. Okay? So let's start. As usual, delta I, delta G, delta GDP due to I, delta GDP due to G. Easy. So first thing, delta I is equal to IE3 minus IE2, which is equal IE3 400 minus the old one, which was 1000. Okay? That's the little trick for this question. So it's actually a decrease in investment. So it's going to be negative 600. Okay? So your GDP is going to decrease. Well, we don't, yeah, it is going to decrease because it doesn't offset. Anyway, delta GDP due to I is equal to delta I times the multiplier. But the delta I can be positive or negative. It's negative when it decreases. It's positive when it increases. Here it's a decrease. So it's going to be negative 600 times 8, which is going to be, again, calculator. Yeah, 4,800. I don't know. I'm going to calculate. Yeah, negative 4,800. Negative 4,800. Okay? So this is the one where we had a little trick. Now I'm going to move to delta G. Delta G is equal to GE3 minus GE2, which is equal to, so GE3 minus GE2, it's 400 minus 300, which is equal to 100. So delta GDP due to G is equal to delta G times the multiplier, which is equal to 100 by 8, which is equal to 800. Now I'm going to look for my new GDP. So GDP at E3 is equal to GDP at E2 plus delta GDP due to the investment plus delta GDP due to the government. So GDP at E3 is equal to GDP at E2, which was 18,400. Yep. Plus, here it's negative. So plus negative 4,800 plus 800. You get it? Plus minus, it becomes minus. I'm going to rewrite it, which is equal to 18,400 minus 4,800 plus 800. So it's going to be 14,000. GDP at E3 is equal to 14,400. I guess. Amy, use your calculator, please. You know that sometimes you make huge mistakes when you're on the board, just like any other student. Another student. Okay, 18, 4 minus 4, 8 plus 8. Yeah, 14,400. Okay, So that's my GDP at E3rd. Take a screenshot. I'm going to move to this question here. Okay? So what didn't I do? I didn't do this one and I didn't do this one. So I'm probably not going to put them in the quiz because I'm correcting before giving you the quiz. Yeah. Moving on. So GDP at BEP from E1. E1, I have it here. So it's easy. Can I? I'm so sorry. I have to. How much was this one? This one was 14,400. Okay. Now GDP at BEP. Oh, the video is going to be so long. Anyway. Question 6. GDP at BEP. That's what I'm looking for. But what I do usually is give the data first. So I'm looking for GDP at BEP. From E1. So what do I have in E1? The GDP at E1 was equal to 16,800. 16,800. IE1 was equal to IE1 500. GE1 was equal to 600. Okay? I know that my GDP at BEP is 8,000, but I need to calculate it from here. Whoa! So what do I know about the GDP at BEP? Investment at BEP is equal to how much? 0. And government at BEP is equal to 0. Okay? So I'm going to have a decrease in investment and a decrease in government to reach the break-even point. So delta I is equal to IBEP minus IE1, which is equal to 0 minus 500, which is equal to negative 500. Okay? So the delta, the change in GDP due to I is going to be a decrease, a negative number. So it's delta I times the multiplier, which is negative 500 times 8, which is negative 4,000. Yeah, you know it's negative 4,000, but you have to check. Of course, you have to check all the time. I'm angry with myself. 500 times 8, I know it's 4,000, but I have to check. Okay. It's a little sickness over here. You see that? Because sometimes I make mistakes and I hate that. So delta G is equal to G at BEP minus G at E1, which is equal to 0 minus 600, which is equal to negative 600. Okay? Now I need to find delta GDP due to G. Delta GDP due to G is equal to delta G times the multiplier, which is equal to negative 600 times 8. 6 by 8, that's 4,800. Negative 4,800, isn't it? It is. So you're not going to recalculate because you know it. Negative 4,800, you know it. That's it. I'm going to start recalculating when I know the answer. Okay, if I have a mistake, I'm going to suicide. No. Can I continue? Yes, I can. Now GDP at BEP is equal to GDP at E1 plus delta GDP due to I plus the rule doesn't change, okay? Plus delta GDP due to G, okay? So it's equal GDP at BEP is equal to 16,800 plus negative 4,000 plus negative 4,800. Okay? So GDP at BEP is equal to 16,800 plus a negative number becomes minus 4,000 minus 4,800. I know the answer. It's 8,000. But, so if you take, that would be 8,800. From 16,800, that would be 8,000. So I have the right BEP. Okay, you can check it with the C plus I approach or the SNI approach. Okay, let's check with the SNI approach. I know that S is equal to 1 over 8 GDP minus 8,000, minus 1,000, I'm sorry, we calculated it earlier. Now when S is equal to 0, that's where you have the BEP. So you're going to have 1,000 is equal to 1 over 8 GDP at BEP. So GDP at BEP would be equal, according to the SNI approach, 1,000 times 8, which is 8,000. This is my draft. I'm just doing it to check if I have the right answer. Okay, guys, next time, which is for you tomorrow. Yeah, I'm working on this like for you, it was last week. I'm doing this anyway. Don't try to know how I work. We are at night right now. Okay, so on next session for you, it's gonna be supposedly, yes, Thursday. I'm gonna cover the tax multiplier and I'm gonna use exactly the same exercise in order to add the tax, okay? I'm gonna add the tax and then later on, I don't think it's gonna be on Thursday, I think it's gonna be on Wednesday the week after, we're gonna add the open economy multiplier, which is not in this chapter, it's in chapter, I think 29 or 30, depending on the book, okay? So that's it. I hope you liked it. I love this chapter because at the beginning it seems so hard, but then it's just like a game, like a kid's game, okay? You just have a departure point, delta something, and by how much you have to go to find the other point. Easy. Have fun, guys. Please don't go out and wear the masks. Bye-bye.